Everyone, so today I'm going to be showing you how to make this adorable board and pillar with a postage stamp on it. So to begin with, before we start, you're going to want to get a couple things that I did not include in the package. First, you're going to want to get a bowl of water, so a fairly large bowl of water. We're going to be using this to wash our transfers in. The water can be hot or cold, it doesn't matter. Then what you're going to want to get is a little tray. This is to lay our transfers on once we've used them to let them dry. You'll want to get a little dish of some sort to put your paste in that we're going to be using. You'll next want to get a pair of scissors and maybe a Sharpie or a marker of some sort. And that's just so we can mark up the back of our transfers. So for those of you who don't know what a transfer is, the transfers are these great little stencils that we're going to be using. So in your packet, you should have received two of them. The postage mark one, and then also a littler one. And I'll show you why we're going to be using that here in a minute. So also in your packet, you should have received your board and your pillar, which look like this. You should have also received a little medallion that looks like this, two pieces of ribbon, one for our project and one for our medallion, a squeegee, two paste samples, a glitter pack, and a board eraser. So actually mine I've cut in half. These are reusable, but they last longer if you cut them in half. These you can probably use, I would say, maybe 5 to 7 times before they really start to run out. They're essentially a magic eraser, but they just come in really handy for erasing mistakes, for erasing paste. So this paste that we're going to be using is erasable, so you can put it on your board, and if you don't like the way it looks, you can use this to erase it, or you can also use that to help clean your transfer at the end. So to start with, what I'm going to have you do, oh, one other thing I forgot to mention, you also want to grab a terry cloth of some sort, a terry towel, a bathroom towel, hand towel. This just helps us fuzz our transfers, and I'll show you what that means here. So to begin with, I'm going to have you grab your small transfer and your medallion and one of your paste samples. So to start with, I'm going to have you knead your paint sample or your paste sample. Now these come pretty condensed, so you're going to want to add a little bit of water to it. Okay, so we're going to knead this paint sample, and I'm going to squeeze it into this little dish here. Again, it may take a little bit of coaxing. They come pretty condensed at first. Now, one thing to mention, a little paste goes a very long way. So you actually probably can do both projects with this paste sample. So I have it in this little dish here, and I'm going to add a little bit of water to it just to get it nice and creamy. So you can use anything to stir it with. If you have a plastic spoon or fork, just something to kind of get it nice and creamy. And now you don't want it super liquidy. Again, you want it the consistency of a sour cream or like a Greek yogurt. And remember, like I mentioned, a little goes a long way, and I'll show you what I mean. So now once you have your paste nice and liquefied there, we'll set that off. And I'm going to have you take your transfer. And now what I like to do is I always like to snip the edge of a transfer. so that you have an easy place to pick it up off of the transfer bag. Now these transfers can be used anywhere from 8 to, well, probably 15 times, depending on how well you keep care of your transfers. So I'll show you at the very end how to wash our transfers and put them back on the transfer paper to keep them. So again, what you're going to want to do is snip the edge, and I like to write on the back so that I know which side of the transfer paper is the back. So that's really important because there are two sides to this transfer paper, a matte side and a shiny side, and you always want to make sure to put the sticky side of your transfer back on that glossy side. So it's really important before you start to mark the back of your transfer so you know where the back is. So what we do again is we peel it off this transfer paper, set the transfer paper aside. We're going to grab our terrycloth and we're going to put this transfer right on the terrycloth. I know this seems very strange. The reason we do this is because we don't want it super tacky, but we want it tacky enough so that it will stick to your project. So I like to get it, you know, fairly to the point where it's not super sticky and easy to lift off, but still has enough tack to stick to your project. Now again, if you mess up the first time, all you need to do is take that board eraser, get it a little wet, and rub it on your project, and the chalk will come off with a little elbow grease. So okay, we have our transfer all fuzzed, and so we're going to want to center it on the medallion here. Now, when you do this, it's very important to get the air bubbles out of your project, or out of the transfer, because any air bubbles left in the clear part of your transfer will transfer onto your project and the paste won't stick. So that's really important. So you'll kind of notice here as I turn it different ways that it's completely stuck. It's okay if you have a couple bubbles right here and up here. It's more just the clear part that you want to make sure is completely flush against this medallion or your project. So once you have it placed where you think you want it, you're going to take your little paste, mix it up again, make sure it's nice and again creamy. And now what you're going to want to do is grab your little squeegee, and we're going to just dab it in here, pick up a little of the paste, and we're going to squeegee it on. And now you'll notice I got a little on the edge there. That is just fine. It's easy to take that right off. So you're going to want to squeegee it down and get all the excess off. You can reuse that excess. And so you're going to want to work fairly quickly. So the one thing about this paste is it will dry fast. So you want to move fairly quickly. So I have that all to the point where I can see the writing really well. So I'm just going to peel it off. Okay, once your project has finished drying, drying typically takes anywhere from, I would say probably 5 minutes or so. You can tell by the way you turn it if there's no longer a damp look to it, and if you can touch it without it smearing, you know by that time it is dry. So we're going to just take our little ribbon here, we're going to thread it through the whole of the medallion, bring it up to the top, tie it at the top, and you have yourself a cute little ornament. And the reason I threw these in your packet is to kind of give you a chance to try this first before you move to your major project. And also just a little Christmas treat. So I'm going to trim the edge here. And how cute is that? Just a simple little ornament. So now that you know how to actually apply the paste, we're going to move to our project. Now, one thing I should mention, when the paste was wet, what we could have done is sprinkled our glitter onto that, and you can make it actually glittery. So I put extra glitter in each pack for you so that you have enough for both your major project and for this little simple one. So you can make it extra glittery. If you're like me, I love glitter. You can't have enough glitter. So next what we're going to do is we're going to work on this project. So you're going to want to get out this transfer. And as a side note, while that was drying, I did put my squeegee into my bowl of water to wash off the squeegee, just so that it's ready for the next project. You don't typically want to keep paste on your squeegee and then go ahead and do a new project, because that can just kind of mess up the way that it places on your transfer. So I have washed off my squeegee and I've set that aside. So now you're going to want to grab your board, and again, you're going to want to take out your transfer, and I think I've marked the back of this already. Yes, I have. And I'm going to go ahead and snip the edge again just to make it a little easier to grab. So I've cut that edge, and I'm going to peel the transfer up. Now I've used this a couple times, so it's pretty ready. But I am going to fuzz it a little bit just to make sure that it's perfect. So I'm going to do it maybe 2 times here. And you're going to notice that it'll pick up some lint. That is okay. You actually want that as long as it's not impeding on the clear part of your transfer. So I think that's good. So again, we're going to want to center that on our board here. And now before we apply the paste, we're going to get our glitter ready, because I'm going to show you how to apply glitter. Another thing I forgot to mention, you should probably have an extra sheet of paper with you for the glitter, so you can tap the glitter onto that piece of paper. Okay, so I have my piece of paper here, and I'm going to grab my packet of glitter. So it's all ready and set to go. I'm going to get our paste, and again, I'm just going to make sure this is still pretty liquidy. This is still my first packet of paste, so I think it should actually very easily cover this. So I like to use, this is just a makeup spatula, I guess. You can get them at any I think retail store like Walmart, anything like that. They're super cheap. They're just really helpful. So I like to use those to apply my paste. So I'm going to take that and I'm just going to dollop it all along my paste, or on my transfer here. I don't like to take this and use it as the squeegee. It just doesn't work super well. Okay, I think that's enough. So I'm going to take my squeegee, and again, I'm just going to drag it through the transfer. And you want that design to shine through. So let's see, we're going to get it all along here. And again, don't be afraid to mess up. If you mess up, you have your board eraser and you just try it again. So I have a lot of excess, so I'm going to put that back in here. So now when it's wet, and I'm going to throw this right into my bowl here. So as soon as I peel this off, I'm going to throw this transfer right into our bowl of water, and I'm going to sprinkle this with the glitter. So just sprinkle it all around the project as it's wet. It's super important to make sure that it's wet when you're doing this. Okay, I think that's pretty good. And then you just dump it onto your little paper here. And you are good to go. Look at that. How cute is that? So once you have that ready, I'm just going to collect my glitter here and put it back in a packet. You can never have too much glitter. Okay. So now you are all set to put this in your pillar. So you just take your stand, put it right in there, and there's a little nut that you screw in the back. It looks like this. Oops. And you screw it in the back until it's tight. And you are good to go. And then you should have received a big piece of ribbon, kind of a wintry, snowflakey ribbon. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just wrap it around this skinny part of the pillar and take both ends, make 2 loops, and tie your bow that way. And the reason you do it that way is it just makes it look a little bit more like a bow. And you are set. How cute is that? And you might notice, I was just looking at this board here, you're going to notice some distress marks. Those are supposed to be there, just so you're aware of that. One thing I forgot to mention, when you peel up your transfer, it's very important to remember to either peel it horizontally or vertically. Try never to peel it diagonally. You can do it that way, but it just, there's a chance of it stretching the transfer in a way you don't want it to be stretched. So we always recommend to pull it horizontally or vertically. Alright, so the final thing I'm going to show you is how to care for your transfers. Now this is really important. So once your transfer is in the vat of water, or the bowl of water, I take my little sponge and I clean it off. Now you might have some staining on your transfer from the paste. That is totally okay. That is normal. Especially Chalk Couture offers a number of different color pastes, and some of the darker pastes will definitely stain your transfer. So that's why this is really handy. These board erasers really make a difference. They usually get most of the paste off. So once you have your transfer nice and clean, I like to flip it upside down with the sticky side up. I'm going to use my eraser, just go along the back, get the excess fuzz off. And again, it's okay if there's still fuzz on there. We actually like the fuzz. Oops, got a little extra paste on there. So if you don't get all the fuzz, don't worry, that's just fine. It'll help the next time. And then what we do is we leave it to dry. And it takes, oh, I would say, I'm not sure how long it takes. I would say maybe about 10 minutes or so. You can take it and put it in, a lot of people like to use the Norwex cloths that have the microfiber. Those will dry them very fast. The only thing is, it will actually re-fuzz your project, so it's not going to stick to your transfer paper super well. So just something to consider. You can also blow dry it dry, but you want to make sure to use cool heat, or cool air, I should say. So when it's wet, don't reuse it on your project. So if you made a mistake and you want to reuse your transfer, make sure it's completely dry first before you try reapplying the paste to it, because the water will actually make it run. So that's something to consider. Alright, so once you've let it sit for a second, you can take it sticky side up. And now again, keeping in mind that when you reapply this transfer paper, you want the glossy side to go to the sticky side of your transfer. So I'm just going to line it up here. And you are set. Alrighty. So give it a couple times. You know, if you want practice on this little medallion, that's what it's here for. I'm going to show you quick. It's super easy to erase. And you can just start over. So don't be afraid to make mistakes. It takes a little bit of practice before you get it right and before you feel comfortable. Another thing is, like I mentioned before, I gave you extra glitter. So if you wanted to take your medallion and make it a glittery Christmas ornament. All you need to do is do just like the postage stamp. You put the paste on, pull the transfer, and as soon as you've pulled that transfer, apply the glitter. And it should stick to your paste, which is really kind of neat. Well, that's it. That is our project. If you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. In your packet, I've included my card that has my Instagram, my Facebook, my email, I believe my phone number. Please don't hesitate to reach out with any questions. I am available 24/7. Thank you so much.